Industrial components up on the session. Here's Cavuto.
Well, thank you, Shepard. And all going not according to Planned Parenthood, an organization that is under fire, its funding in question, and protests across the nation, dozens of cities with the same message. End it now, and the funding for it now, in at least the biggest cities of the country, from Washington, D.C. to Seattle to Los Angeles, the message pretty much the same. Why are we funding an organization that countenances apparently the selling of human fetus parts? It gets uglier, it gets meaner, it gets nastier, and it is embroiled no less than the Senate Majority Leader who promises a vote on defunding the entire organization within the next couple of weeks. First to Dan Springer now in Seattle at one of those protests. Dan.
Yeah, Neil, and this protest outside of Planned Parenthood in Seattle began about an hour ago. It's winding down now, but at its peak it had somewhere between 100 and 200 protesters. I see some protesters across the street as well, and some counter-protesters and police. It's one of 65 across the country under the hashtag Women Betrayed and organized by the pro-life group Students for Life. They are all in response to the undercover video that shows a Planned Parenthood medical director discussing prices for delivering tissues and organs from aborted fetuses for medical research. I've seen signs here that read Planned Parenthood sells baby parts, and another that read selling humans is never okay. Clearly that video has sparked outrage and disgust.
I was pretty surprised and horrified just by how casual they were in talking about this.
We're showing them, as of last night, we have 35,000 people who have signed letters to our legislators saying this is what the people want. We are not okay with $500 million in taxpayer funding going to this organization.
And that $500 million is how much Planned Parenthood currently gets per year from the federal government. We have video from some of the other protests, including those in Austin, Texas, and Washington, D.C. Here in Washington State, 4 Republican lawmakers signed a letter asking the state attorney general to begin an investigation of Planned Parenthood. 9 states have already done so. 11 states have reportedly defunded Planned Parenthood, and presidential candidate Rand Paul has introduced a bill with 80 co-sponsors that would end the federal funding. Planned Parenthood has stayed open through today's protest. The director here in Seattle says no laws were broken.
I think it's part of an ongoing attempt at harassing an organization that isn't involved in the program in question, but if we were, we would be following all applicable laws to the extent of the laws, and this is grandstanding.
Word of this and all the coordinated protests around the country were spread through social media, and Neil, I would expect that there will be others to come. Back to you, Neil.
Thank you, Dan, very much. I want to switch to Los Angeles right now, where another one of these protests is going on here. These are pro-life and pro-choice groups, both opposed to what they see going on here. And that is what is making these protests register particularly. It's among even pro-choice women who say that this is not the message of Planned Parenthood, and this should not be the business of Planned Parenthood. To Shannon Brim with what's bringing on the latest. Shannon.
Well, Neil, we got to warn our viewers first up, right up front, that these newest videos out today contain graphic images of aborted fetal body parts. Some of our viewers are likely to find it very disturbing. In this clip, provided by the Center for Medical Progress, a tissue procurement buyer is inside a clinic talking to a doctor about pricing for parts and organs from a fetus that was just over 11 weeks into a pregnancy.
That 11.6 was pretty good. There was, I mean, there was like 3 or 4 samples we could have taken out of the 11.6, so that would be, you know, if we were doing like, 50 to 75 per specimen, that would be like 200, 300, right, then we'd be comfortable with that. But like, so it's like stuff like this, like we don't want to do like just a flat fee of like 200 and then it's like...
No, and, I think the per item thing works a little better just because you can see how much we can get out of it.
Under federal law, it is a crime, quote, for any person to knowingly acquire, receive, or otherwise transfer any human fetal tissue for valuable consideration. Planned Parenthood President Cecile Richards says the organization has done nothing illegal and has always maintained that it does receive reimbursement for the cost of preparing and or transferring fetal tissue, but says it's never made a profit off of it. Well, a quick overview of companies that do provide fetal remains for purchase. Well, they raise a lot of questions. The undercover videos we've seen show Planned Parenthood-affiliated doctors quoting potential pricing at $30 to $100 per specimen. But if you go online to this ordering system for STEM Express, which does reportedly do business with Planned Parenthood, you're going to see pricing for a fetal liver in one case that goes up over $24,000. The new video also has the testimonial of a woman who said she was hired by STEM Express to work inside Planned Parenthood, getting body parts. She said she wasn't told before she arrived what she'd be doing and fainted on her first day. In a statement, STEM Express says it, quote, prides itself on complying with all laws. Neil?
Wow. Shannon Breen, thank you very much. So as we were saying at the outset of the broadcast, pro-life, pro-choice, anti-this, anti-Planned Parenthood, or anyone working for Planned Parenthood doing or saying any of this. Reaction now from GOP strategist Lisa Booth and Catherine Timbo, the National Review. Now, Catherine, you're looking at this. You're pro-choice, correct? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little nuanced on the issue. I think that regardless of what people think, the government shouldn't be involved in this kind of stuff. However, a lot of times the left's sort of flippant attitude towards abortion really bothers me. And this is about as clear of an example of why as I can find. It's disgusting. It's the way that they're just talking about it, like they're talking about just haggling prices, like they're talking about farm animals and they don't really care at all. That's sick. It makes my stomach hurt. It makes my heart hurt. And I don't know how anybody could not watch this and have that kind of view.
Lisa?
Well, Neil, these videos are ghastly, and as Kat just pointed out, it doesn't matter which side of the debate you're on. These videos are disturbing, and I think what they're doing is putting Planned Parenthood in the hot seat. It's putting Democrats in a difficult position heading into 2016 as well. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for someone like Hillary Clinton to defend this video, especially concerning the fact that she receives so much money from Planned Parenthood. And look, Planned Parenthood is an organization that receives $500 million annually from the federal government. So I think that's why you're seeing Republicans push to defund Planned Parenthood. And, I also think it's reigniting this debate around a 20-week ban.
One of the things that's come up with this is why we fund Planned Parenthood. And the other issue that's come up, Catherine, is whether many on the left have argued this was a setup. In other words, this was a planned strategy like an ad scam type deal to look for impropriety and then find it. My only point on this is we've edited no clips here. We played them raw for you so you can hear for yourself. I've not butted any together. Just hear for yourself whether you think that is appropriate behavior on the part of anyone at Planned Parenthood.
Right.
So that's what I'm focusing on.
Right. Does it matter? I mean, it's all right there. You can see it all. I don't think it matters how or what. That's absolutely disturbing. And they're saying that because that's like all they can really say about it. Nobody can argue that that's not sick. And, well, except the people doing it are saying, hey,
Well, we do, another argument you hear a lot, at least, is that we do a lot more good than we do bad, and we help families and for planning for children and those wanted versus those not wanted. You know the drill. But I'm wondering here whether the effort on the part of Mitch McConnell to call for a vote to defund Planned Parenthood goes much further than the Senate. Surely that's something that the president wouldn't sign, and I think many on the left are hopeful. And praying this blows over and saying it's a Fox cabal or a right-wing cabal or this is all slanted video or all propped up to be tantalizing.
Neil, I think Republicans should absolutely be pushing to defund these videos. And look, there's 9, as you mentioned, there's 9 different states that are investigating Planned Parenthood. Congress is going to investigate Planned Parenthood. But regardless if there's actually federal laws being broken or not, perception is everything. And the perception of these videos is incredibly hard for Democrats, incredibly hard for Planned Parenthood to defend. And what this does is, especially regarding the 20-week ban, it puts that under a microscope. And I think it gives Republicans a strong ground to try to make changes to the 20-week ban and, also to reignite this debate that we're currently having about abortion.